Hi, this is Bill Petrino. Today is February 20th, 2019. Please keep pressing the subscribe button and keep watching our shows. Watch the ads. I appreciate everything. Thank you very much. We reached our goal. Just keep watching. Keep spreading the word. We had a goal to get listed by YouTube, but now, of course, I hit one goal and I want to make another goal. And that's, I want to get this, I want to build this as one of the top news channels on YouTube. And the only way I can do that is all you keep spreading the word. I appreciate everybody. We're going to talk today. It really irritates me. We're going to go on a bunch of different topics today because there's a bunch of things I've had on my mind and I just want to get them off because we need to talk about the truth. The fact is we got 14 million kids who live in poverty. Yet, and I call them the demon rats, alias the Democrats, they don't care. They'd rather help illegals. See, every dollar that you give to an illegal is money that you're not giving to someone in America. Okay, just think of it as a party. If there's 40 pieces of pizza and you have 9 guests, if 35 people come over and crash the party and each eat a piece of pizza, that means there's less pizza for everybody else. Okay, it's not an unlimited amount of money. Now, the Democratic cities, what they do is they think that when they run out of money, they're going to start taxing people. There's only one problem with that. And that's that people don't want to pay. They get tired of it. They don't like the deal. So what happens? They leave. And that's what's happening in all these states. See, these states are broke because what they've done, and we're going to talk more. I'm still gathering the data. But basically what these people do is they overpay through the unions, through the bureaucrats. They have these unfunded mandates that they can't afford, that they just promised. And they have pension shortfalls. It's really bad. I mean, the whole basic of liberalism is they take the money and take the money from the productive people and give it to the unproductive. And that was evident in the whole Amazon deal. They had this politician on that bragged about killing the deal. And he said that Amazon, he said, why does Amazon need to be subsidized? The owner is the richest person in the world. He said why should they be getting any money? And it's like, look, when I was in the ticket business, I sold insurance to one of my buddies one time. We was in a wedding, and I mentioned this in my book, The Great American Dividend Machine. If you haven't read it, please do. And I went to my buddy Tommy. We were in my buddy Lombo's wedding, and I sold him an insurance policy. I said, Tommy, if you ever need anything, let me know. He said, okay, Paisan. He calls me. He's on the Atlantic Ocean. And he said, Billy, he was in the medical sales business. He said, Billy, I need 4 tickets to Neil Diamond. I said, Tommy, I don't really get tickets anymore. My dad used to run the box office. He said, Billy, did you tell me if I needed something, you'd help me? I said, yeah. He said, well, help me. So I found out, got a bunch of tickets, and, found a ticket broker out of the paper. They weren't on there was no internet back then. And got my buddy the tickets, and we just started doing more and more. And then I started realizing that there were, 2,000 insurance brokers in the state and 4 or 5 ticket brokers. And I figured that it was a great business for me. So I just thought to myself, okay. And the thing grew. Well, the doctors already, my friend was in the medical sales business. Well, the doctors were already doing business with them, but these doctors wanted to be wined and dined. Now, it's not that they would go somewhere else, but why do you want your best customer to go somewhere else? Okay, I asked one of his partners, I said to him, Mick, what do you guys do here? He said, Billy, we trade little piles of money for big piles of money. And that's how every business works. They hire lobbyists. Okay, what happens to these politicians? They get paid. That's why you had a swamp-written bill last week. And when you're in business, you have to give people, Amazon set up a lottery. Well, they want to get the best. Their job, whether you like Jeff Bezos or not, the job of capitalism is to make the best deal possible. Okay, how do you think these big cities worked? They got people jobs, and then you kicked your money back to somebody that got you the job. That's how unions work. That's how they've started. Okay, and folks, I believe in unions. I was in Union 293. I enjoyed it. It was a great union. My dad was in unions. I don't have a problem with being in unions. You paid money. Back then, you paid your dues because you knew somebody and they got you a job. I paid union dues, but I got a job when I was 18 years old working on the pop trucks, making $11 an hour when my friends were making $3. And then you get paid for overtime. Okay, but that's the way of the world. Okay, I don't mind it. I don't like when the public sector does it because they're spending the taxpayers' money. They're bribing people with the taxpayers' money. That's why it's so expensive to do something in California or Illinois or New York or Connecticut or Maryland. And these big cities, if you go to Baltimore or Chicago or San Francisco or San Jose, you got people, like I said, in San Francisco, they're pooping in the streets. It's horrible. And that's where all the illegals come in. One of my, I'm not going to name a person. He's a very well-known person. You would know who this person is. Lifetime New Yorker told me. We had a talk one time, and he said, son, if they got rid of all the illegals in New York, the city would, who could work here? Who's going to do the work? He said, who's going to come here and work? You're going to get kids that live in these rich neighborhoods. They're going to come work for $8 an hour, $10 an hour. So that's how the world works. The Democratic Party, and see what they've been trying to do. See, do you want to know why they really don't want the border? They don't want the border wall because, see, what they've done is they took a state like Nevada, used to be a Republican state, and they filled it up with enough illegals. They put those Somalians. Why do you think Obama put a whole group of them, 70,000, 80,000 in Minnesota? That was the difference in the election. And they all vote the way they vote for the Democrats. In New York, California used to have Pete Wilson. You never have a Republican in there. And they're trying to tell me people don't vote illegally. That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life. I worked for the Board of Elections. How many times I watched, I could have put, worked the year that Ross Perot ran in 1992. I could have put in, I saw the people that weren't going to be there. I could have signed their names. I could have put in as many ballots as I wanted. Nobody would have checked. Nobody would have checked. And what happens is you're supposed to have a Republican, a Democrat, and an independent in each booth. I got news for you. You go into some of these neighborhoods, you think you're going to have a Republican down there in the middle of the hood? Not going to happen. There's cheating that goes on. I'm not saying the Republicans don't cheat. I'm just saying that I know the Democrats do. People can cheat. It's very easy. And that's what they did. Why do you think that's what Trump has to worry about? They didn't think they had to cheat as much in Wisconsin and Michigan as they did. They'll be ready to cheat next time. Believe me. They'll be ready to cheat. That's why it's never a sure thing. But you're going to have to be, hopefully, we need to get a national voter's ID. What we really need. And your vote needs to be public. I'm sorry. See, if your vote's not public, me and my dad have this argument. I said, Dad, but see, this way they can check and see whether you won or not. The Democrats know that if they can get the illegals, they came close to winning Texas and Florida last election for the Senate. If they win those two states, the Republicans can't win. They're done. And they're getting closer. In fact, Obama won Florida. He never won Texas. But that's what they're trying to do. Okay. Believe me, that's what they are trying to do. And you have to stop it. You can't let this go on. The great thing that happened last week, I forgot to mention it. The Supreme Court is hearing the case, and I submitted this to a couple friends I have that are involved with the Trump administration. I said, you got to get this Supreme, and Wilbur Ross is on this. You've got to get the on the citizenship. See, when you do the census, what happens is the reason these states don't take their voters off their voting rolls is they get funding based on how many people they have. And power with all these people, you get more electoral votes. You get more aid. I mean, they play games with these numbers. And what Wilbur Ross is going to do is when they take the census in 2020, they're going to have it, are you an American citizen? Well, if you're not, we're not going to count you. We shouldn't count you. The census is not supposed to count. And someone says, well, you don't know what the founding fathers wanted. I do. They wanted to vote. Your electoral college is based on your population. Your population is based on American people. You just can't have a bunch of people that don't vote, that aren't citizens. Why are we counting the people that aren't? I mean, think about it. Would they count if you were going to have a family party and you were going to buy awards for everyone in your family? Would you be buying awards for people that aren't in your family? Would you be counting them? Say, how many awards do we need? I don't know, 2 million. What do you mean 2 million? Well, we're going to buy them for all these other people. They're not part of our family. Doesn't matter. See, and again, that's the whole thing with liberalism. Someone has to pay. When an illegal comes in your town, they're driving on your road. They're using your schools. They're using your hospitals. And when they come and they don't pay, everyone else has to pay more. Again, if you go to a restaurant and there's 8 of you, and then 75 people come and eat on your tab and leave, you got to pay the tab. The 8 people got to pay for the other 75. That's what goes on in this country. And see, the Democratic Party, they bank on this. That's their whole premise. Go into the big cities that they run: Cleveland, Chicago, Boston, Cincinnati, Columbus. They're jokes. They've run the cities into the ground. The only reason they're not, they sell all these municipal bonds. Folks, I got news for you. California will never pay its bills. New York will never pay its bills. Illinois will never pay its bills. I saw the governor of New Jersey on the TV. He's talking about all the scientists we have and whatever. He said, we're a progressive, capitalistic society thing. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. Okay, progressive, capitalistic, the two things are opposite. Because the progressives, again, they give, you're not allowed to kill a bald eagle egg, but you're allowed to kill a baby that's 9 months old. They back things. They want higher taxes, but not for you. Not for them. They want abortion, but not for their mother. I mean, that's how these people operate. I mean, this Jessie Smallette thing. He tried to say that he's trying to get attention. He's trying to say he got attacked. And see, let me just give you a little details that they're not saying in the paper. About 2 weeks before his attack, he met up with the Booker and the hooker. Okay, Cory Booker, the vegan, Spartacus, and the hooker, Kamala Harris. They wanted to co-sponsor a bill in the Senate on hate crimes and like lynching. So what they did is they told this, and this is my opinion, okay, but I've done a lot of research on this, and this is a person that I got this information. Okay, you can take it for what it's worth. They got this stooge, Jessie Smallette, to say that he was attacked at 2 o'clock in the morning by people with MAGA hats while he was talking to his agent. And they threw bleach on him and whatever. But see, he didn't think of a few things. One, there's cameras. Just because he doesn't see them doesn't mean they're not there. They had him on camera for everything but 30 to 60 seconds. And they didn't see anybody on those cameras except for 2 guys. The 2 guys they saw were bodybuilders. They were supposedly the people that might have done this. They're getting arrested. These guys are Nigerian bodybuilders. Hardly people wearing MAGA hats. Okay. When they tried to submit the phone, the police wanted the phone thing. They wouldn't give them their phone. Both the agent that he was talking to, supposedly, and Smallette redacted the stuff on their phone. They weren't telling them. Trust me, folks, they weren't on the phone. This whole thing was staged with a rope around their neck. The guy's sandwich didn't get disturbed. I mean, this is something, this reminds me of like a fourth grader saying that, like, the dog ate my homework, but I'm not showing you anything. I mean, this is like a clown show. The Chicago police are trying to not. I mean, this guy went on Good Morning America a few days ago and thought about how angry he is. People, I'm angry. And when I'm angry, what this has to do with politics is this is all a way to try to push this election is going to be between about progressivism, socialism, and liberalism versus everyone else. If you're a white male, forget it. And what's ironic is the four people actually, that I think have the best chance to be president in the Democratic Party are 4 white males. I don't like them, but Mike Bloomberg, Joe Biden, Beavis, Beto O'Rourke, and Bernie Sanders. Okay. The other people have zero chance. I mean, the females, and I throw Sherrod Stork Brown in there. The females, Kamala, the hooker, the fake Indian, the Minnesota people, I just call them, de Blasio. We got to come up with a name for him. Maybe Goofball is a good name for him. Tulsi the Hawaiian. I mean, these people are not, it's not going to happen. And that's what these people are all trying to get. This is a country. We have turned into a country where this is, like it or not like it, there's going to be socialism. They know they're going to, free school, free health care, jobs for everybody. But when you ask people who's going to pay for this, they get fumble mouth. I mean, at least Howard Schultz, whether you like him or not, he said this is pie in the sky. He said this isn't real. Because he's a business person. He understands. And trust me, they're attacking him. They're going after him. They are going after him. But I'm just going to give you a little tip to the Democratic Party. Don't pick fights with billionaires. They fight back. And if you think that Howard Schultz isn't going to, he'll stay in this race just to irritate these people. Okay? So, I'm happy about it all. We have to just keep fighting. We as a people, we have to stick together. We can't pull an Ann Coulter. Okay? Hannity didn't like the bill. Ingram didn't like the bill. But they're not calling the president a jerk. They understand. Rush Limbaugh got it right away, which I was shocked about. Because he's not my favorite person. He got it. He understands. They had the veto-proof thing. What Trump did is he went to them and said, look, this is the deal. I won't veto the bill, and you let me declare the emergency and back me in the Senate. Or I'm going to expose you guys. And they just agreed. The swamp rats agreed. That's what rats do. The Republicans are just as big as rats as the Democrats. They're not any different. The Republican rats and the demon rats. The trade deal that they're talking about with China, and I said this all along, folks, this is all going to happen. Trump is going to make a great deal, but like he said a few days ago, if he makes a good deal, they're going to say he got ripped off. China wants a deal. They need a deal. And Trump knows it. He put the tariffs on. You have to pressure people. He knows that. He understands. You don't become a self-made billionaire and you're a dummy too. It doesn't work like that. They understand. He understands capitalism. So the market's going to take a little break, but Apple and Snap and Applied Materials are 3 great stocks to have. Just be patient and everything will work out fine with them. Okay, the stock market may level off for a little bit, but by the end of the year, it'll be going. But I just want to mention briefly, I didn't mention about the census. See, if you don't count the illegals in the census, California and New York will lose a lot of votes, and guess who will get a lot more? Texas, Florida, the middle of the country that doesn't have all the illegals. They won't. They'll get more electoral votes. And the big states, the New Yorks, the Illinois, the Californias, they will lose electoral votes. So we'll see how that all goes with the Supreme Court. As far as sports goes, the spring training is getting ready to start for baseball. And, this time of year, I always love spring training. I love all the sports, but baseball is my favorite sport. I like watching football better, but there's something about when the baseball season starts that and it's this time of year, you get emotional. I remember as a kid, we didn't have the internet. We had a couple stations, and they would be writing articles in the Plain Dealer paper over here in Cleveland, and they'd talk about the truck would leave Cleveland to drive out to Arizona, and we had basketball, but it wasn't. The Cavs were not a good team in my youth until, I was 12 or 13. And, the Browns would be over with, so you didn't have anything else going on. And, you were thinking of baseball. And it's ironic as I collect memorabilia, and one of my friends who I just got reacquainted with him after many years, and then I found out he passed away. And his card show's coming up in a couple weeks. And one day we'll talk about the memorabilia. I love collecting the memorabilia because it's something that I enjoy getting. I have, Ken Griffey's shoes, game worn, that are autographed, and a bunch of other things of memorabilia. But I just enjoyed collecting them. And I enjoy when the baseball season starts, like with spring training. It's something that I always watch the first spring training game of the year. It's like a tradition with our family. And I'm glad that if you don't have your parents, then, like most of my friends, sit down with your uncles or your parents or your friends or your kids yourself and start a tradition with it. There's just something about baseball. It's a game it brings you back to your past. So from behind the wheel of the truth machine, this is Bill Spatrino asking you to sit back and enjoy the ride.